Hi, I'm Mike Glenn, Senior Pastor of Brentwood Baptist Church. Thank you for joining us on our YouTube channel. You honor us by being here. We'd love for you to hit subscribe and like, because that kind of tells us that we're kind of talking about things that are important to you, and that's what's important to us. Joining me for this episode is my beautiful wife, Jeannie. I met Jeannie on Derby Day a long time ago, and after we met on Derby Day, 3 months later we were engaged, and 10 months later we were married. And 4 years after we were married, Chris and Craig showed up, and our life changed immensely because then we became the parents of the boys. And there's Chris and there's Craig, and then there's this third personality called the boys that is very different than either one of Chris or Craig by themselves. But through that, we have been the pastor of 3 churches. We've been here at Brentwood for 28 years now. But honestly, when people meet us and they meet you, they see you're very beautiful, you're very nice, you're very kind, you're very sharp. And their one question, it's the question I always get, is how has she stayed married to you for 40 years? You and I are very different.
Very.
And so there were some kind of intense negotiations.
That's a really nice word for it.
About frank and open discussions, as the politicians would say, about how we were going to do our life together. So a lot of your friends, a lot of our friends are different personalities when they're married. You married a very strong personality. Some would say overbearing personality.
Some.
You didn't have to agree that fast. You know, I'm trying to kind of give you an opening here. All right. So what kind of things come to mind when somebody says, how have you stayed married to Mike for 40 years?
Well, early on, when he was in seminary, and he was when we met, a lot of the professors, some of their wives were counselors. They all recommended premarital counseling.
And we did.
And we did that, and that helped a lot at the beginning.
Yeah, because Wade liked you. Ray Rowett did our premarital counseling, and he was always on your side.
Well, maybe you were wrong.
Well, that's what he said. He told me if I didn't want him to be on your side all the time, that I needed to change. That was his words to us.
Well, no, but he made us think about a lot of things that ordinarily we would not have paid attention to.
Things like, well, the big one is how we handle anger.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. When I get mad, what do?
Yell, shout, hit the dog.
I hadn't hit the dog. Now that's going out to everybody. Don't do that.
We don't have a dog right now.
We don't have a dog anymore.
We did though.
Yeah, we did, but I didn't hit the dog.
Okay. Well.
I didn't hit the dog.
All right, you didn't hit the dog.
I yelled at the dog.
You yelled a lot at the dog. You scared the dog. And my cat.
Yeah. Oh, your cat wasn't scared of nothing. So.
Well.
Yeah, and part of that was me. And part of when I get angry, I do demonstrate my anger. But it's a pretty short fuse. I mean, I get angry and I get over it.
Well, sometimes.
Sometimes.
I
can do the silent treatment. I'm really good.
You do your mom's.
I learned
Barbara
that
Glenn,
from my mom.
Yeah, silent treatment, and that would just, really.
Well, the reason you do it is
great.
It works.
I know. Yeah.
Well, it damages a relationship, but you win the argument.
Yeah, which was more important to you at the time. I'm sorry, I'm being really mean.
No, you're being kind of honest there because that was it. So we had to learn how to handle our anger in appropriate ways. For me to tell you, hey, I don't like this, or you've crossed a line.
Yeah.
And for you to be able to tell me, because see, you wouldn't tell me.
I internalized a lot.
And I would find out later that I had hurt you, or it builds and builds and builds in you.
Yeah.
And then it explodes, and then we have 15 fights because you've been saving up all these fights all this time. We had to go back and fight everything that you were mad at
Yeah.
me about. Yeah.
Yeah,
With that.
that's true.
What other things? What things surprised you about me? I didn't think you'd be like this.
I think the fact that at times in your anger that you wanted to be hurtful, that you, I mean, I guess we all, have that part of us, but for some reason I just felt like, later it was like, you intentionally wanted to hurt with the silent treatment or hurt with this or that.
To wound you rather than to deal with the issue.
Yeah. And then later, when you were much more comfortable with your more gentle side, I realized how easily you can be hurt despite your tough exterior, and that you really had a very kind, gentle side. And
Don't let that out.
and I won't tell too many
Okay.
people. Just
keep that
YouTube.
secret here. Y'all don't tell anybody about that.
Keep
this
that
is
to
fine.
yourselves. Yeah, right.
So it surprised you to find out that I could be hurt?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Did
I
you
think-
not know that?
Yeah, I know I can be hurt. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have made a point not to tell anybody until we just blew it out here on YouTube.
Yeah.
I do think a couple of things that helped us was our parents, for a lot of their differences, are very much alike. Committed to the marriage, they stayed married. They raised the kids in the church. You and I were both
True.
raised in the church. So that's kind of what we grew up with. But having said that, our families were very, very different. And that caused some misunderstandings, right? I always tell the story about the birthday, because in my family, birthdays were not that big a deal.
Right.
You got a present and happy birthday, and we went on back to work. Your family, birthdays are huge deals.
Grandparents.
Grandparents, cake, not just cake, a particular type of cake, right?
Yeah. Well, we had a local bakery cake,
Yeah, because I got German chocolate cake one time, and
which you like.
well, yeah, I love German chocolate cake, but it was the wrong cake.
Yeah.
It didn't count. I got a cake, it didn't count. Why? It was wrong cake. Has to be yellow cake
Right.
and the buttercream icing.
You got it.
With
After
lots of
40,
flowers.
almost 40 years.
I got a picture in my phone.
I know.
I just go in to show the people I need this cake.
That's one way to do it.
And that's the way.
Whatever
that's the way
it
we do
takes.
All right. But despite all the differences and all of that, there was, and I think this was a surprise to you, of the significant role you play in my life and how important you are to me. And there's some parts of my life where I only trust you. And I don't listen to anybody else.
True.
And that was particular, the last part of our life journey where that was true was with my mom. Because I would get so tangled up in the details that you were the one who would say, now here's what you got to do. You know,
When she was
yeah,
ill.
when she was ill
And-
and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, listen, we've had kind of a lot of fun on talking about our life journey and all, but here's some things we want you to think about. One, each of you in your marriage is very unique. Jeannie is very different than I am. And I love every bit of her difference. She brings something to our marriage. She brought something to our boys. She brought something to our family. And now she's bringing a lot to our granddaughters that I could never bring. Pay attention to how you handle anger, how you express it, and what you're trying to accomplish while you're expressing the anger. Remember, the purpose of the anger is to say, one, something's threatened in the relationship. Two, It's to solve the problem, not to win. It was to solve the problem. Lastly, be sure that you recognize that the differences your spouse brings to you are in some ways God's good gift to you. There are a lot of things I would have never experienced in life if you hadn't taught me. If you hadn't said, let's just try this. And she was the one who taught me. So listen, work hard on your marriage. Whatever you put into it, you will be paid back a lifetime over. Jeannie and I are getting ready to celebrate 40 years if we can make it till June, right?
Yep.
And then we'll spend a little time together trying to negotiate one more year, see if we can make it to 41. I hope this has been a little help to you and a little encouragement to you. If it is, hit subscribe or like and let us know, and we'll see you next time.